Party people, Blitz game number 1, testing out my streaming setup here. Let's go. One knight f3, d5, g3, as is customary on this channel. Hope everyone's doing all right. If you have not watched my my video on choosing your own opening, go and do it. It's a good one. It's just one long Tony Rowe rant. Just how everyone likes it. That crooked? Okay, this is a tricky move. D takes c4. Black could instead have gone like bishop e7, and then after c takes d5, e takes d5, it's a mainline Tarrasch defense. I usually go d takes c5, bishop takes c5, a3 there, looking to go b4. But it's also possible to play this way with d takes c4. That's the independent option that black gains by white having delayed c4 for so long. I forget how this goes exactly. I think like here, knight d7, then knight a3. Looking to go here. If black takes here, the problem is knight b5 is kind of annoying, if I recall correctly. So like knight e5, knight b5, and I'm hitting c7, and even king d8 to stop it is not possible because of the rook here. I think you'd have to go rook b8. And then, like, I don't know, bishop f4 looks pretty annoying there. Pinning to winning. Okay, so I guess I'll take back. There's no sense in going knight b5 when you can castle now. And let's see, moves that come to mind. Bishop e3, simple development. Bishop f4, same thing. Knight d6. I'm not sure about that. I would be threatening knight takes c8 and bishop takes b7, but I think maybe that allows here. Knight d6, knight e5, knight takes c8. He must take with this rook. Bishop b5 doesn't look terrible. Rook b8, bishop back to g2, let's say. But I'm a little bit behind in development there. Doesn't feel natural to move this knight again. Another idea would be to go a4, a5, a6 in rapid succession. I think a4, probably knight b6. Even there, knight a5 is kind of irritating, maybe. Or maybe there, knight d6, so like a4, knight b6, knight d6. That kind of looks enticing, actually. It's also possible, I mean, just bishop f4 is very normal. Okay, 3 minutes, Tone. Bishop f4 is like the least disgusting move. I mean, like, the one thing to consider is whether or not black would actually go g5 and boot me back to e3. Okay, I'll try a4. Let's see what happens. It's sort of a natural move anyway. Black might be looking to go rook b8, b5, etc. to kick my knight out. Yeah, so he does it. Now the question is, do I go a5? Because then a5, maybe if b5, my knight can't go to a5, which looks juicy. Also, if a5, b5, a takes b6, now he can take this way, whereas like in this position, it's kind of hard to arrange. Okay, I'm just going to go bishop f4. pretty natural. I'm falling behind on time. If he wants to go g5, that's fine. I'll take that weakness. I'm just going to probably go something like this. Black still has to find a reasonable way to develop his pieces. Rook d8 sort of strikes me as natural. I have to kind of decide whether or not I want to go knight d6 at some point. Yeah, so he goes there. He does it. And now do I go here like so or not? So it is possible in this position for him to do something like this. Is that anything to worry about? Probably not, let's be honest. Okay, I'll try it. Into the liver here. Okay, so he goes there first. Fair point. I should have taken there first. Not close, should have taken there first, which is what I meant to do. I just forgot. AB, AB. So with AB, G takes F4. Here is a blowout because A7 to A8 is just crushing. So he must kind of take back this way, and then at least after bishop to E3, B5, I have knight A5. Now I have to do something else. I have to go here, which is not so bad because knight E5, bishop C5, but this is not what I wanted. Oi, tone. I am threatening to go knight C8 with this thing hanging, but I'm guessing he's going to take on D6, or yeah, he's going to take. So now, interesting question, do I... Presumably I go this way. This feels more natural to me. I'm just going to play this quickly. I only have a minute. It is a 5+3 game, so if you guys hadn't noticed, I realized that Lee Chess has a streamer mode, which is pretty tight. Their streamer layout anyway. It's a stylish script. So he's just gonna do that, huh? What about B4 now? C takes B4, bishop A7 is my idea, which would win an exchange. I could also just go like rook 8. I'm just going to play this. I don't have a lot of time. Feels natural. I have the two bishops. I have pressure on his queen side. His position is moderately loose right now. So knight e5 might be the best move, and then just bishop c5. I'm hitting a7. I'm like sort of x-raying this thing. Knight c4, perhaps? Where would I go? Maybe I don't go anywhere. Maybe I smack that. Very interesting. But if here, what then? Isn't he losing? This feels losing. He's just going to try this? I don't know. He should retreat the bishop at least, but this seems pretty bad. It's actually possible bishop b7, rook b6, rook b8, a6, exploiting the pin. Kind of a cutesy idea. And if, okay, so he goes there, but now here, well, that might be not as good now. Let's just do this. He might go here. I don't doubt my ability to find a square. I'm going to go here, leave c5 for the bishop. He can try and be annoying, but okay, that was more annoying than expected. Okay, I'll go here. If he goes e5, I'll go d5, and I'm hitting this thing, rook d5, and I'm hitting rook on b8. I just want to consolidate. Like, I literally just want to play bishop c5 and then push my a-pawn for all of the moves. I'm up in exchange and a pawn. I just have to not lose on time. Not blunder anything. Okay, that move is easy to make. I'm just going to go all the way back. I'd like to go f3, e4 if allowed. That would be pleasant. But barring anything crazy, I'm just going to... Yeah, that is actually really helpful for me, I think, to have f3 in. Yeah, so a6, a7, and then something. I'm going to flick this in first. Rude. Interesting. My opponent is wriggling. I'll give him that. So now I'm looking for this. Or maybe even here, actually, is better. Okay, how about just this? This seems easy. Hitting f6 and also threatening this seems real bad. a6, knight c1. I don't think he's stopping this thing. I hope he's not, because that would be trouble. Yeah, I don't see it. Pre-move. Pro pre-move. Don't pro pre-move a8. That's how you lose. Okay, he's gonna keep playing. Down a queen for a knight. Let's attack f6. That's hard to meet. That is very hard to meet. So hard to meet that I don't think he can. He's just gonna keep playing. Okay. Okay, there's the resignation. Now, is the analysis board gonna show up approximately right? Ugh, all right. No, it's not. Okay, that's fine. Duly noted. I'll have to make like a second analysis scene, but for right now, because of my obsessive compulsive disorder, I have to clean this up. Ate it. Okay, good enough. Let's look at this game. Man, 19 centipon average centipon loss. 1 inaccuracy, 0 mistakes, 0 blunders, baby. Yeah, so this is a weird move order. Usually you'd reach the Tarrasch by like, you know, something like d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, c5. And white usually exchanges right away into some position like this, and then we'd reach like main lines after knight c6, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, etc. Bishop e7, d takes c5, something like that. Bishop e7 castles, and then d takes c5, probably more likely. And then I like to go a3. But I really prefer to go a3 without the knight on c3, which is one of the reasons why I like the move order that I play, which is like this way. Now if bishop e7, then c takes d5, e takes d5, d takes c5, bishop takes c5, and then a3, something like this. And if black castles, then b4, bishop b6, and then either knight c3 to a4. You can go bishop b2 first. And really, yeah, knight c3 to a4 is the major sort of theme here. Rook c1, knight a5. It's similar to the setup with the pawns on both pawns back one step and the bishop on b2, except that this sort of adds a little bit of extra complexity. White has more control over the c5 square, of course, and has this idea of posting up the knight or possibly kicking this knight away from the d4 square. But there's also a problem that like c4 is very weak. So if white isn't that careful, something like knight e5 to c4 can be annoying, or knight e8 d6 to c4. So little tricky, but in general, white scores really heavily from this position. In the Lee Chess Opening Explorer, let's see what we're looking at here. After bishop b2, wins 57% of the time, draws, let's see, what's 57 plus 36? 93, so draws 7%. Knight c3 scores even better, 63% wins. Black only wins 29% of the time, the rest are draws. So, yeah, it's an interesting line. And the reason why I should have explained, the reason why I like to do this without the knight on c3 is that, like, if you go back to this position, you just play knight c3, let's say castles a3, there's this strong pawn sacrifice, knight e4. And the point is that after knight takes d5, black just goes for straight up development, bishop e6, and then white sort of has to go back. And after knight takes c3, b takes c3, queen takes d1, rook takes d1, and then I believe rook a d8 is the better move. Yeah, pretty sure. Getting the rook off the long diagonal here. Black has proven that there's enough compensation. What does Stockfish think this is? It's not going to load. I'll stick it up my ass. Yeah, it's like 0.5 or so. It's tenable. Anyway, this line used to be a real problem, and then Nikos, forgive me, I even consider him a friend. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Naturalist? That's almost definitely not it. But yeah, he wrote this book, Grandmaster Repertoire Tarrasch, with Jakob Ogard, and they found and recommended this move. But without the knight on e4, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, this move order, because white plays c4 last, doesn't go d takes c4, it is possible for black to go d takes c4. And I like this tricky move, knight e5. It's probably not objectively anything for white, but it's very tricky, as you can see in the game. There's also a real rude trap with knight takes d4, e3. If black moves the knight, then queen takes d8. And if the king has to take, for instance, like here, bishop takes c6 first. If queen takes d8, then knight takes d8, and black is alive. But in this specific case, black's losing a whole chess set. It's a pretty cool trap. Yeah, and this I'm not sure is much better. Yeah, Stockfish is already giving it +2. That's no good. Let's see. Oh, dubious, rude. What does it say the best move is? Yeah. Oh, bishop b7. How many of you were screaming that at me? You know, it's interesting. I looked at that at like other spots, and I looked at rook d7 too in a lot of spots, but like I just missed it for that one move where it's actually good. Daggers. Yeah, that would have been quite good. Yeah, a4 is not bad though. Come on. And then maybe black should go here, but I kind of felt like maybe this move then is what I was thinking. And this seems strong. Like if bishop takes d6, probably both moves are good. Maybe in this position, e takes d6 is even really powerful. Again, a5, a6 is a pretty legit threat. And after a5, knight d7, black would again have to figure out a way to get his pieces in the game. And meanwhile, I just have the two bishops, and I'm into it. Rook b8, I think this is the most natural move anyway. It's the best move to my eye. And then bishop f4, b6. Yeah, a5, g5. I should have gone here, I think. Stockfish, not so sure. This seemed more natural to me anyway. just opening the A file. That way, if he decides to play this same way, I thought this now. But I guess even in this case, I'd rather go knight d6 because I need to... If I go knight a5, actually knight takes e5 guards the main idea of knight a5, which is knight c6, hitting all his stuff. So yeah, in this case, I should probably just go here anyway, intending this. Yeah, this is pretty terrible. Like, I would say if black can't do this, then it's likely that this plan with g5 and b5 is like not that good, just because they're both very sort of loosey-goosey moves. And if you can't win the pawn on e5, which also kind of like uncoils your pieces a little bit, like this whole plan is sort of a failure. I guess you'd still probably have to try and play this and then maybe play something like a6 and just hope you don't die a horrible death. But I mean, what do you do? Maybe there's a better move. Maybe this move, at least on bishop a7, then you can go rook d8 and you're not losing an exchange. This still sucks though. I mean, let's be honest. But long term, this a pawn is just such a beast. Yeah, it's very tough actually. I mean, black gets into such trouble so quickly. Like, yeah, and it's just already here. It's white's pressure is quite large. Black's pieces are just kind of uncoordinated. Queen takes d1, rook takes d1, gave white a little bit of time. And yeah, those things like the clog development and white's slight lead in development, the pressure on the queen side is just very, very tough already. And it's sort of usual in these positions that at some point your opponent will lash out, and that's usually when like you have to play the most precise moves. b4 very strong. This move just feels like curtains. This move also seems very natural and good. But again, it's like I could play this and just ask black, like after g takes f4, g takes f4, how he's completing his development. I mean, you know, you can't go bishop b7 because it hangs the knight. Rook f to d8 would allow bishop takes c5 because of the pin. And what else? You can't move your knight because b6 is taken, f6 is taken, b8 is taken. It's like, what move do you play? f6 presumably would be like the only move, but maybe, first of all, it's just very weakening, but maybe just this, hitting the knight again. And what do you play? I mean, king g7, but that, you're just waiting to die at that point. So f4 would have been quite nice as well, but b4 is more direct. Yeah, after this, it's like, nothing really is interesting. I don't think I was probably the most precise here, but especially getting in f3, e4 for free feels pretty bad. Yeah, and then once I'm allowed to trade rooks, I just think it's completely over. This game is, yeah. This game is done. Well, successful sort of test on... oh, there's like a little sliver of the top of the black screen showing. That's going to eat me alive. I'm going to post this game anyway. Who gives a crap? Hope you guys liked it. This is my first game with the new layout. I'd like to maybe shrink the camera down, make the board a little bit bigger. Find maybe like a sick logo to put up there with Blitz game #1 instead. But yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm glad I found the streamer overlay so I can play some games, and a really crisp first Blitz game. This is actually the first Blitz game on my channel. You believe that? Like, I played a ton of rapid games. I've drank some cocktails and played some like silly Blitz, but I haven't just done like a Blitz video. I'm like operating YouTube, like chess YouTube style, like from 2010 when Christoph Selecki was just uploading like a Blitz game a day, and John Bartholomew was uploading three videos a day. Like I'm just starting with that. I'm not like, okay, what are people doing now? What's the cool content? I'm just like Blitz game. But okay. Well, anyway, this is Tony Rowe signing off. Bye, guys.